Good evening. Today the Hooves were on at Wyong. Um, I'm having a bit of a giggle to myself. I'll explain it to you later. The track, it was given out a dead 4, downgraded to a dead 5, and then finally to a slow 6. The rail was in the was about 4 metres from the 1350 to the 210 when the cutaway came into play. There was a very savage southwesterly blowing straight into their faces down the side, but it had no effect on the leaders. Up near the lead and near the fence was the place to be. And runners who got trapped wide in the run, they had no hope. So, as I say, the wind wasn't any effect, and being near the lead and the fence was an advantage. When it comes to rain, there was the rain was blowing into from the southwest in sheets, and the most rain came just before race 5, where the wind actually dropped before the race, and we had a really solid shower. And that's where it was downgraded from a 4 to a 5, and then after the next race to a 6. The meeting was absolutely fly blown. It was very cold. The flux today. How they work, of course, is taken off the rails bookmakers. There were 3 rails bookies. Apparently, the go is the price has to appear on at least two boards out of the 3 before they can go on the flux screen, and it's embarrassing. Some of the races had plenty of per in them, but it was a lot less than that. I was in the outside ring with 2 other captains, and it didn't matter what price you put up, but I'll explain as we go along. First race was on the screen, 118.2, was only 103, and there were prices. The horses that didn't have names. The opening favourite, number 8, Uriah, trained by Snowden and ridden by McAvoy, got trapped wide in the run up near outside the lead, couldn't get across. That was the end of it. It was the end of it in the ring too. Was unlabelled, went from $2.50 to $3.50. Not a caser for it. Similar to number 2, there's a bit of an inquiry going on with the wind blew it about. It had a laceration to its tongue and to its heel. That's Hoodoo Guru, who finished up running 3rd, only got beat 0.7. It opened up second pick, 5 to 2, got to 7 to 2, $3.50 out to $4.60, unlabelled. I lost on the first race, had a bad result. The winner, Gunner's Babe, who's a bit of was an very ordinary netty, led on the fence and was able to hold them off. And I gave $7 to the pros and only started $6 hard to get. Running second in the race was Snow Empress, who had Drew Barrier 1, slid from 3 back on the fence into the cutaway turning for home, just failing by 0.2. It wasn't worth a caser. The ring was absolutely empty. 2 of the prominent pros weren't there. 3 were there, and they hardly played all day. And what about the Giddy Goat? I told you about the Giddy Goat, that the win pool on the Giddy Goat, the first race, was $44,000 in the win pool. The Jolly Green Giant, I told you what was going to happen. It'll just keep on going down and down and down. You must be holding plenty of money fixed odds where you don't have to give it back. And also the rebate boys must be howling because they're not getting big rebates. The holding 44,000. You've got 2,000 outlets in New South Wales. Now forget about all the people sitting at home, all the hundreds of thousands of punters you've got. Just forget about those sitting at home not having a bet. It's an average of $22 a tab for the win. You're betting. They're betting in pennies. There are no punters. Tell you what, what you've got to do is put a bit more product on. Instead of a race every 90 seconds, have a race every 9 seconds. So the punters will bet more. or the other way, I'll bet. Of course, I'll bet less. You just don't understand what's happening to the game. The race clubs, wouldn't they like to get hold of the contract that they've got with the TABs and just rip it up in their faces? The game, I had a trainer go past me today and say, "It's a shame, Gary, isn't the game gone to Gowings? It is fly blown." The race 2, 108.4 on the screen, 102 in the ring, legless. Number 1, Best Love, didn't have a price, $4.60 out to $8. We get down to the winner, Love Commands, one of the 2 runners only backed in the race. 2 runners backed, and it was one of them. Opened up $4, Love Commands, got to $4.60, started $3.80, sat in behind the pace, went a little bit wide, easing off heels, turning for home to get outside the leader, which was Avia from barrier 1, and it held on a bit too strong to beat number 3, Zycosis, who came from last, also easing off heels. Looked like it was going to run to them on the turn and win easily, but the wind most probably blew it in, and it was a bit disappointing up the straight. They only failed by 0.2 of a length, and running third was the bottom weight, a 20-to-1 chance, Spurring Spirit, who got a good suck third on the fence behind the pace, easing off heels and getting a split turning for home. It ran third, only 0.3 of a length away. The only other runner backed in the race was number 2, Diamond Start. It opened up favourite $2.80, equal with Zycosis. Zycosis never had a price, $2.80 out to $4.60, and Diamond Start was $2.80 out to $3.70, back into $3.50. You could lay it. It was the runner I laid, and I also laid the winner, and I might have won 4 bob on the race. The other runners won't go through them, they didn't have a price. Race 3 on the screen, don't take any notice of it. It didn't matter what price you put up there today. There were no players. 121.8. Now that was after 2 late scratchings. After a 20-to-1 chance came out, Sonique, and also the bottom weight exceeded, which I gave $6. It was 9 to 2 or $5 at the time, and after it was 121 after the 2 scratchings. Before the scratchings came out, we'd only given 106. We buttered you right up, and we gave 114% after the 2 runners came out. And of course, this was a race where the 2 favourites crossed the line. One of them was liable. It happened to be the winner who won on protest, which was Lansdowne Road. $3 given, laid 1,700 to 1,000 at one stage, and it started $2.20 favourite after the after the 2 scratchings. And the other equal favourite, or opening up equal favourite, was 0600, but it was the one that they said the bookies can have. That's yours. It went from it got from $2.80 out to $3.20, back into $2.80 after the scratchings. But as I say, there wasn't a penny for it, and it got beat on protest. It's funny, bookies aren't allowed to bet on protests anymore. They still are in England. You can bet in England. Bookies are allowed to bet. As soon as they cross the line as a protest, up goes the market, and you can bet on the protest. Also bet on margins, photo finishes. But in Australia, you're not allowed. Bookies aren't allowed to bet on protests or photo finishes. I suppose what's the opinion? Bookies might take advantage of the poor old punters. But I tell you what, when's the law going to come into play where they're just thieving off the punters, aren't they? Who owns these mechanical betting machines where the punters are betting on in the TABs and wherever else they're positioned? It's got to come in. You're robbing the punters, aren't you? Mechanical dog, trot and horse races. Bookies aren't allowed to bet on protests where there's an opinion of the bookie against the punter, but you allow them to bet on mechanical horse racing, dogs and trots. Oh, you're more or less, you're half dipping them, or you are dipping them for sure. Is that the way you think you're going to keep the game going? the only way you play the machine is if you put counterfeit money in it. Surely the punters aren't smart enough to put real money in. You couldn't possibly do it. They got no hope. They got no hope. But we're not allowed to bet on protest, but you allow them to bet on that. How can it be? Can anyone explain it to me? Anyway, the protest was upheld. I'm glad I wasn't allowed to bet on it, because I would have been betting on it being dismissed. But I was wrong, and the stewards were of the opinion that when it was a length behind, Lansdowne Road was a length behind 0600 when they turned for home, when he had shifted ground, causing enough interference to cost it the race. The margin was only a pimple, and I was the opinion that even though he did come out and he was checked, he was being blown in by the wind at the time, Corey Brown. I don't know what was said in the steward's room. By the way, in the betting ring, you don't even know when they're about to jump. They say they're racing, and the one or two punters who are in the ring, everyone goes, they're racing. You don't know if there's a protest. They don't say there's a protest. They don't say it's dismissed or upheld. It's the only place. If you're off course, you can hear it, or in one of your TABs, but not on course. Next race, race 4. Geez, we gave it to you here, best luck. You poor best luck punters. 139.4. Oh, you copped it there. But in the ring, if you would have taken my board into play and whatever, which is not on in the outside ring, doesn't come into play, 117%. That's about the same as the fixed odds. They're fixed, all right, that the tab offers you every race. They're up their sleeve, up their Adam and Eve. They've always got about 17%. Haven't they got a lovely business? The winner of the race was Heart of Joy. Opened up $3.50, got to $4. You wouldn't see that in the flux. Started $3.80, went straight to the lead and held on and beat the Good Mark, who was extremely well backed. I gave $6, started 15 to 4, $4.80. Had its chance, sat out, one back. The first 4 in the market ran the placings here. Running third was Glowboy, who was held up slightly, turning for home. Went along the 18 pence into the cutaway. Was beaten. The margin between first and second was 1.3, 1.8 away to the third horse. And running fourth was the opening favourite, Daruna. Didn't have a price, went up 6 to 4, $2.50, $3.50 begging, not a penny for it in the ring. It ran fourth after having every possible chance, sitting behind the lead on the fence. A losing race for bookies. So, as I say, don't take any notice. 139.4. There was 117. I know it's still plenty of per, but that's what the tote offers you every day. Whether it be the tote and also fixed odds. So we're about in line with what they were offering you. The next race, 118% on the screen, only 109 in the marketplace, which was empty. The pros backed 1 or 2 runners here. They backed a thing called Few Jack. I don't know how it was going to win. Stood it for a good bit of section. They took $18 off me and $15. It had its chance. Winning the race was the favourite, Houston Benefactor. Big result for the captains here. We all cheered at home. Went from 10 to 9 on, opened up $1.90, $1.80. We were $2.50 at the finish begging. Knew we weren't going to lay it, and we said, yes, it's for us, and it got the chocolates. There were a couple of runners back. Musical Lady, it was number 3. It was $5 out to $7 back into 6. Pulled a bit of section out of it. And the second pick, well, like the favourite, but it never had a price. Lee Nazam, resuming from it wasn't resuming. It opened up $3. We put up a hot market there. What was the use of putting up a good market playing to an empty house? It only goes out to the robots everywhere in Australia. But we had to play a straight bat there today because we were only playing 1 or 2 pros, and they're guided by the filthy fare. Take the filthy fare away from them, they wouldn't be able to find their way home. It was $3.50. Never had a price. Never wrote its name at all either. Um, the others didn't have prices, and they might have returned the bottom one, Prince of Thunder 40 to 1. I was 100. Never got a dime out of it. The tab would have got something out of the fixed odds, of course. Race and Houston Benefactor, well, it led early, was eased by Josh Parr when the one they backed, the pros backed, Few Jack, went up to it. He said, you can have the lead. He tucked in behind him on the fence, eased around their heels, turning for home, and outsprinted them. Only won by 0.3 of a length from one of the other ones they backed, Musical Lady, who came along the fence from second last position, making up plenty of ground. As I say, only beaten 0.8. And the other running third was Bermuda Blue, who opened up 7 to 2, $4.40, got out to $8, never had a price, and it was 2.6 lengths away. Coming to race 6, on the screen, 117.1. We took my board into calculations. There was only 107 there. Prices, the horses didn't have prices. The pros found the top one, Ann Shah, $20, 20 into $21 into 15. Laid it for a good bit of section, winning the race was the Cisco. We put it up 2s on. We said you can lay us $1.50 on if you want. There were no takers. It started $1.80 on the rails. No, not a taker in sight. But they wanted. Well, I haven't written his name. You wind it off because there are no players there, and you try to. It's cat and mouse. The second horse, Ducarius, it was $3.50 out to $4.60. Started $3.80. The pros came into the $4.60 and $4.40. Then we just kept on winding it off because the favourite didn't have a name. And as I say, Cisco and the top weight were the only runners backed. El Southie went from $6.50 to $11. The four runners under it don't take any notice of the SP. They're double what they were. And same with number 3, Revolutionise. What was I going to say? Cisco didn't lead, which I thought, and I suppose other pundits thought would be the case. Instead, Blake Shin, the champion rider he is, he sat, was trapped a little bit wide going out the straight, but then he got into a lovely position behind the 2 leaders who ran along, and they were the bottom one, War Relic, and also Mako, who stuck on well, was only beaten 2 lengths and copped a bit of a pratt, took a couple of times after turning for home, and also halfway up the straight, so its performance was fair. And Cisco moved up on the turn, and he more or less just outsprinted him. Wasn't impressive by any means to beat the second pick, Ducarius, had barrier 1. Very one-paced, needs plenty of pace on to get wound up, and it'll keep on coming all day. It's a maiden, running in a class 1. I think it's had 20-odd starts and still a maiden. And it needs pace on because, it's, as I say, it's got no pace. And it was lost its momentum at one stage of the race, but then railed, getting a lovely run turning for home. Only went down with a half length. It was 2 lengths away to Mako, and it was 6 lengths away to the others. Team of trotters. Race 7, 108 only this time on the screen, but in the ring, of course, a lot less. 99% given, and the winner, I had a bad result on this race. Cams and Warrior, $6 given, won't appear in the flux for $6. Pros came into it. It was started $5, hard to get, and got the chocolate. Settled down last, ridden by Ms. J. Duggan. Never left the fence, got inside the entire field, turning for home. Showed a good bit of acceleration, sprinted clear, and won by 2.3 lengths. Not a bad little win. It got a bit of a check at the start. Now, the favourite in this race, Annexation, it didn't have a price. Now, we bet 99%, and it started, I don't know, well, I think they returned a 7 to 4, 280 or 270. It was $3. You could have been $4, and you wouldn't have got, you wouldn't have found a customer in the world for it. It was we put it up, tested the water, put it up evens, trained by carrots and bananas, put it up evens, was $3 begging. It happened to get trapped 3 wide in the run, and it ran motherless last, beaten 14.7 lengths. They had the crystal ball there. The winner was $6 into $5, hard to get. I bet 6 monkeys against Doomsman late. I think he might have been one of the owners. I had $6.50 up, and he asked me if he wanted to bet him $7. I accommodated him, bet him 6 monkeys, and then because the favourite never had a name, other runners back. Well, the platinum line, it was $26. It'd be a lot less SP. Didn't have a price, and the next 2 runners were backed. Midnight Hustler was $8 given, only started 6. And Real Steel, $7 given, only started $5.50. The bottom one never had a price. Gold World went from 11 out to 17. Losing race for the captains. I'll go back and tell you what the tab held in a minute on these wind pools. God, the game's fly blown. You'll see what I say. Race 8, 113.7 on the screen. Only 105 in the ring. And another big result for the captains here. Chow was, we put it up $2.60 and was $3 begging at the finish, but we all cheered for it, of course. Innisvale, the pros found it at $9. Laid a good bit of section against it, but it started that price on my board. Was into 7 at one stage. I think the crystal ball was a bit murky there when they backed it. I think the fair might have got them in there, but whatever they took, it was double on the fair at the finish, and the fair must have got scrambled there. It was that game of cards. There was a lovely dummy thrown. Anyway, 2 runners. Well, the run that was backed, and the favourite getting out of the market was D. Nantleton, resuming from a spell today. It's very one-paced. It sat back in last position, bit off the track, and the rider said it pulled up with a bit of a respiratory noise. He also said if it wasn't a respiratory noise, it might have got his tongue over the bit. The vet ran his hand over it, couldn't find anything wrong with it. It ran second last, beaten 5.3. It opened up 5-2, $3.50, got out to $4.60, but because of the filthy fair and one of the pros backing it, only started $3.50, and the Libra, the opening second favourite at $3, we quickly got it out to $5 to tempt the pros, which they took. Started $4.80 on my board, and where did it sit? It sat outside the lead, had every possible chance. It ran third, beaten the length. Lobster, it is not worth, well, I won't say that. I suppose it is worth a lobster. Just to show you how good the fence was and what a help. It sat third on the fence, never went around a runner, got a split turning, got inside the leader, which was Battered, who I bet 30 to 1, about $31. Started 15. It led from barrier 1. It got inside it, turning for home, and then it got beat a half a length. The winner, Chow, excuse me, it was, I thought it could have been outside the lead early, ridden by Tommy Berry, but he didn't, and he just eased and sat in behind them. Lost his position at one stage with Libra being scrubbed before the turn, coming back on him a little bit, and he had to steady. But once they turned for home and they fared a little bit, he got a split. He out-sprinted them, and I thought $3 was fairly good odds. It's easy now, but it got the chocolates. But as I say, it was a result for the captains. It was ours. As I say, I told you the first race, the wind tote only held 44,000, an average of $22 a tab. That's just the tabs in New South Wales. The next race they held at 35,000 for the wind tote. That's an average of $15 a tab. Excuse me. Voice is going here. The next race, 55,000 they held, $27.50 a tab. 70,000. Oh, they got up to 70,000. Next, 35,000 a tab. $35 a tab. Average, 55,000. The next, $27.50. Excuse me, a tab. The next race, 60,000 they held for the win on the win pool, an average of $30 a tab. The next race, it was 55,000 for the win, $27.5 a tab. And the last race, they held 80,000 in the win pool. The last race, the New South Wales TAB, 80,000 they held on the win tote. An average of $40 a tab. That's in your 2,000 tabs throughout New South Wales. But you've got over 100 million customers, haven't you? They're betting in lollipops. But geez, they must be holding a bit of money on those mechanical things. I hope they're putting counterfeit in them. You couldn't put real money in them. Fancy bookies not being able to bet on protest, but you allow the punters to bet on mechanical horses and trots, thieving off them. It's the hottest duke you've ever seen. Anyway, Rose, we've got Warwick Farms on tomorrow. We'll see you 20 regulars out there tomorrow. Ta-da.